I don't doubt that Shohei could probably come in and shove and dominate. It takes some time to get back, and you have your bullpens, you got to throw to hitters, and I think depending on feel too, it takes some time. Like you gotta get into like a live hitter situation and figure it out.
Tyler Glasnow joining us. Hey, great to have you on, Tyler. Good to see you, dude. And I know we'll get to it. You're not pitching in the series, obviously, but are you excited to be part of a World Series team and part of history, like the big picture of what we're dealing with here coming into this Fall Classic?
Yeah, I mean, just the two teams playing, it's pretty insane. I don't know the last time we played, like 80 something, or what was the last Yankees Dodgers World Series?
81 or 2, right? That
Something like
sounds
that.
about
But yeah,
right.
it's awesome to be part of it. It
81.
sucks to, yeah, there you go. It definitely like sucks not to play, but it's nice to, like when you are hurt and the team is playing well, it makes it a lot easier, I guess. Like if we were to not be playing well or we were to get eliminated, it would be a lot worse of a feeling. But it's, yeah, I'm glad I can be there and support.
That's actually a good way to put it. So, of course, you're excited
Yeah.
for this series and to be part of an organization that you pitched a lot for this year. But do you not only root for your team, but, you know, when you feel bad that you're not pitching, if they win the World Series, you can at least look back and be like, okay, well, we won. And that is the ultimate goal here. So I pitched for a team. They won. I'm pissed that I got hurt at this time. But if you win, nobody cares, right? Like they just want to, Dodger fans want to win a World Series. They don't care who's freaking pitching in that series. As I know, you know, teammates want to contribute. So do you feel that sense in your rooting interest as well?
Yeah, I think there's two. There's like the personal side of where like you want to contribute and you want to play, obviously, but I do think like the overall scope. I think when you sign with a team, like when I first got hurt, it's not like it's like a guilt feeling, but it is a fact that like I've dealt with injuries before, and then they sign me to this contract, and I'm not there to participate in the World Series and the playoffs, and I think that's the reason people, you know, like teams pay guys is to help contribute in the playoffs. That's like the one or like the only really meaningful. I guess that's what it's all about. So I do think of what you're saying is true. Like if as long as we win, it kind of yeah, it's like that's the point of signing a bunch of guys is to win a World Series, and if we end up doing that, whether it's with me or without me, it's like the ultimate goal was reached, and it does it feels good to win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're going to take that ring, whether you play
Yeah.
one inning or the whole season for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I would. I just playing an integral part. You played. Listen, you've done your duty. You know, it stinks that you're not up there now, but trust me, you're a big part of that squad.
Thanks, dude.
After you went, no doubt. After you went down, and we were talking with Mac Muncy, he said you guys had a meeting, man. How much did that meeting mean to you for one, and how much did that help the team going forward?
This is when you said what after when? Sorry, it cut out.
I think he said after you got injured, you guys had a team meeting.
I
Maybe you weren't
Are you
there.
talking about the one before the playoff?
Yeah, maybe
we had
you
a meeting
weren't
with
there.
playoff.
The meeting before
We
the
had a
playoffs.
couple. So we've had
my fault.
Yeah. No, you're good. We've had a few of them for sure. And I think Max and a lot of the guys in there like have that big leadership presence. I think that's kind of been like the biggest thing this year. I think we've kind of stayed together as a team really well. Like we've done a lot of things this year differently than I think I've ever done them before. And just like the team leadership, I think the coolest thing about being in a big market team and being with the Dodgers is that a lot of the guys have been here for so many years. So they have this like rich history of friendship, and they've kind of known what it's like every single year in and out of the playoffs. So like some of the stuff we changed up this year too, just like going when we played San Diego, I think previous years before guys would drive down, and I think there was some of the guys like Muncie and Mook and Freddie kind of said like let's just all take a bus together down to San Diego and back. So we had this like really cool minor league camaraderie feeling, and we've had even like just a few meetings throughout the year, and it's kind of like it just feels like a really 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 close knit team, and I think the amount of care there is to winning in this organization is like nothing I've ever experienced. It's just everyone's main focus and main goal on this team.
I love that. So what do you think of the way that Dave Roberts has maneuvered this team through the postseason so far? Because let's be real, the Dodgers are a powerhouse. The offense has been clicking. The bullpens looked amazing, but you guys, it's not just your team is down a ton of starters. Right. And whatever Andrew Friedman has said publicly, we're going to look into that. And obviously it's a sport wide issue. But if I told you the list of pitchers that are missing for the Dodgers, you'd probably be like, well, they didn't make the World Series this year, and here they are. So how do you think that's gotten to this point with, really, 3 starters right now, and one guy in Walker, who I know you know well now, who really was going through it for most of the year?
Yeah, I think it speaks on the like the farm system as well, like just the next man up mentality. I think the Dodgers have always done a really good job with that. It's always been like an organization wide kind of philosophy to just find guys with good talent and then develop them, and they do probably the best job of the MLB with that. I think Andrew did a great job with the trades and like bringing a bunch of people over, like Edman and Kopech and Flaherty, and it was just like insane the amount of people that they got in such a short amount of time. I think it kind of speaks on too, just like how close knit the team is. I think when new guys do come up, you kind of just fit right into the team, and there's such like a big leadership presence of guys who've been there before that were like, it's nice to go into a team and just like fit into a puzzle as opposed to going to maybe a different team where a lot of the players haven't been there a long time and there's not maybe like a very comfortable feeling, or you kind of have to go and do your own thing. It's just you come here, there's just this nice like plan and almost like a hierarchy type of thing. It's just, I don't know, there's just everyone's a leader, and you come in and you fit in, and it's just a nice relaxing type of thing. And I think in a big environment, like a big market, that's the most important thing. I think just eliminating any sort of distraction or eliminating things that you can't eliminate and just worrying about baseball is probably like the biggest thing that helps. And I think guys just come in and just fit in right away.
Let me ask you a little about this. Tommy Edman absolutely dominated the NLCS. We were talking about it before. Somebody else has to step up. If you're going to pitch around a guy like Mookie, Freddie, or Ohtani, who's the next guy in line? I mean, you got Teoscar, who's done a really good job. But Tommy Edman has been a key factor in this run right now. Talk a little bit about him and how this little man is just coming through left and right.
Yeah, he's incredible. I think just the ability for just a baseball player in general, like defensively, you can play anywhere. Lefty, right, switch hitter, obviously. Probably one of the nicest righty swings I've ever seen. When he first got traded over, too, was just a guy, he came in, fit in right away, wasn't like nervous or anything like that, just got in, knew his ability, came in and has contributed since the first second he's gotten here. And he's like a really close part of this team. And it feels like he's been here all year. He's an unbelievable baseball player. And I think he's one of those guys, too, where he like really rises to the occasion. And I think pressure to him seems just like a privilege. He just kind of shows out every time there's like a big situation. He shows up every time.
Tyler, our show obviously has many diehard baseball fans that are watching. There's casual fans too, but they might be sick of me talking about this. I will say every show I've gone on, radio show, whatever, podcast over the last week, they always bring up this one question, which I'm sure you've gotten asked too, and it's about Shohei Ohtani's even iota of a chance that he could appear as a pitcher in this series. So I'll ask it to you in this way. If you were in his shoes, and I know it's hard for any of us to imagine, right? A 50-50 guy who also can pitch like an ace, and you were medically cleared, do you think that you would try and raise your hand? And also with the cachet that he has. My point was, if he goes to Doc into the org and he's cleared, I don't know exactly where he's at with the rehab, and said, hey, I want to appear in this series at some point for an inning or two at some point, do you think that there's any chance that it could happen? I know Doc turned it down last series, but I don't know if we've gotten like the official confirmation. And even if we did, Tyler, I mean, I've covered the Dodgers when we didn't think Kershaw was going to appear in a certain series, or even Kenley going for multiple outs and all that. You don't always reveal all your cards, but what do you think of all the hype around any chance that he could pitch?
I think it would depend on, you don't know how many months he's been out. I actually don't know either. Like in terms, it's a second Tommy John, right? Second one.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on like, yeah, timing wise. And I know like the second one, especially like doctors and clearance and all that stuff is like extremely hard to get, just because the second one is so much, it's like 6 more months. I think the first one's 13 to 15 months and the second one's like 18 to 20 or whatever. And I know the second one, like I said, is just like a lot more strict. And I think if you look at it long term too, being a second Tommy John, he just signed for what was it, like 11 years. I think when you like weigh it out in the future, it's probably not the best idea. I think what he's allowed to contribute to, or like what he has been contributing hitting, has been huge. I'm sure if you asked him, he'd be like, I'm down. But I think it's more of a collective decision and like I think not. It takes some time to get back, and you have your bullpens, and you got to throw to hitters, and I think depending on feel too, it takes some time. Like you gotta get into like a live hitter situation and figure it out. And I don't doubt that Shohei could probably come in and shove and dominate. I just think I like the collective, cohesive decision of the group. I don't know if I'm not really in the know, but I don't know. I'd be surprised if it happened, but I'm sure he could do it.
Talking about coming and pitching, how about yourself? Where are you at physically? And if there was a month left, do you think you'd come back and get on the bunk a little bit?
I would really like that. I think it's more, it was like, I think just as far as, I had some like signal or whatever, and then I got like an MRI, and then I tried to come back early, like probably took half the time off of how much time I should have taken off. And then I think the MRI got like a tiny bit worse. So I think there was a little bit of fear of everyone like, all right, we need to shut it down. But I think if I was a little bit more time, I'd love to pitch. And I've considered going back and forth and kind of figuring it out. I just don't think like in long term, it was like would be that good of a decision. I've talked to a few doctors and coaches and everything. I think we've all kind of unanimously agreed that it's probably not the best for me to come back, but it's been really difficult sitting and watching and like not being able to contribute. And I think too, like how it feels right now, it's one of those things where the only time you can really feel it is throwing. And it's not like when I'm sitting here right now, I feel good. So it's hard for me to be like, let's not do anything. You know what I mean? All I'm doing is like lifting, and I'm not throwing and not building back up. So it's tough, but the way the team's played, it's been good. Like I'm happy that everyone is pitching well, and I think like just for long term and for my career and the success of the team going forward, like me just kind of waiting and coming back next year is the most logical decision.
When you first went on the IL, I remember you talking and you were like, I think I'm going to be okay. It's not that big a deal. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but can you take us through the timeline? Because like you said, there's a difference between taking a little time off, feeling like, oh, cool, my arm's not that bad, and then you start throwing again. Is that when you noticed, okay, now when I picked it back up after missing a start or two, this does not feel like it's in a good spot?
Yeah, I think it's just like kind of coming back a little bit earlier, and then like the speed in which I had to ramp up was probably a little quicker too, just because I was trying to go back into the playoffs. And I think I get pretty like locked in pretty early, even in spring. Like when I get a ball and I get on a mound, I can get my feel pretty fast. And I just think like that ramp up I just felt like it just felt weird. Like nothing was really in there. It wasn't like fully healed yet. And I feel like if I kept going, something in there probably would have, I don't know what exactly, but it was just like a little tendonitis, like stress reaction, and then getting it re-imaged again, and it was getting worse. And typically if you were to come back and throw, like when you take the full time off and then re-image it, you're not supposed to see any more signal. And I think if I did try to push through it, I think something long-term, kind of something bad would have happened, and I wouldn't have been able to contribute in the postseason or next year. So I think it was kind of a no-brainer, I think, once I got re-imaged again. And then I actually just got re-imaged recently, and I had taken I haven't thrown in like a month, and there isn't any, and it looks like it's pretty much fully healed. So if I decided to come in now and like ramp up, I don't think I could get ready in time anyway, but I'm just excited that I'll be good to go for next year.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was my last question is, so after this point, are you able to have somewhat of a regular off season? However you do your off season, will you be kind of on that track where you'll be able to show up to spring training? Obviously, I'm sure you'll check on it again in the off season with the imaging, but you're on track to be able to like do your normal thing here heading into next year.
Yeah. So as of now, like I just had it re-imaged recently, like I said, and they were like, oh, it looks awesome. So it's healed like fast and it looks really good. And I think the only thing I'll change this off season, I think I'll keep my arm going. I'll do like plyos starting in November and like throw twice a week, probably the entire off season. And then like as I ramp up to get back into spring and like December, January, February, then I'll start getting back into like a normal thing. But I don't think I'm going to take like a long time off or a couple months off of throwing this year. I'm just going to keep going and try to get my tissue just used to that workload.
This episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. If you're looking for that fresh barbershop shave at home, introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using code FOUL20 for 20% off plus free shipping.
I've had so many bad razors in my past, and you only get one face. Make it count with the latest tech in face electric shavers. I'm talking Flex Adjust technology, which makes sure the blades and pivoting head adapt to the unique contours of your face and neck to hit all the angles.
There's a travel lock so you don't hear buzzing in your bag from an accidental on-button situation. And the Chairman Pro also features an LED spotlight to help you see every detail. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is smooth as a baby's butt. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FOUL20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code FOUL20 at manscaped.com.
I got a Rays question for you. It's unfortunate, of course. I'm sure you saw what went down there with the Trop and just in general, the Tampa, St. Pete, that whole area has really gone through it with the storms rolling through over the past month or so. So have you heard from, anyone that's around? You're not down there at all anymore? Or do you have a spot?
I live in Tampa still. Yeah.
Oh, you are still there. Everything okay?
Yeah, I'm still there. Yeah, my house is good. It's like
okay.
On an area that's like built up a little bit more. I have some family and some friends that got their house like pretty much destroyed. It's insane what's going on over there. But I did see that video with the Trop. It's super sad. I know a lot of people, it's not like their favorite stadium, but I loved it. Like I loved the feeling of it. I loved pitching there. I loved the clubhouse. I just think I have a lot of good memories associated with it. So when I did see that video of the roof gone, it was kind of like, oh damn, that sucks. Like kind of take it for granted. And then now that it's not there, it's just kind of a weird feeling, and I don't know what they're going to do to put, like, how are they going to be able to put the roof back on before next season? Like, it just seems like logistically it's kind of an interesting situation. So I am a little concerned, I guess, like what they're going to do next year, or like where they're going to play or how they're going to play, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's part of the news here. Is it sounds like it's official that they at least won't start the season there. So they're going to have to start the season elsewhere. Recently, the commissioner was saying how they'd like to keep them playing in that area. So we've been speculating on the show. We're like, maybe they can play in the Tampa ballpark for a little bit with the Yankees spring training home. There's other spring training homes around there too. I mean, I think the Tampa one's probably nicer than the Port Charlotte setup, but just curious. I mean, do you know about anything down there? And also just how annoying it would be. I know you haven't gone through this, but for a player then to have to deal with potentially going to different ballparks until it's ready, or even if it's ready at all. I know it's going to cost a ton of money, and they've got the new ballpark in 4 years or something. So I don't know what's going to happen, but how do you think it is for players like that? Obviously the A's have their own situation with Sacramento for a long time. I mean, these guys were like, I just want to be in one place for the whole year, even if it has to be a minor league park that's not up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sucks. I think in the grand scheme of things, it could be worse. You know what I mean? You're still playing like a professional sport. Like, and it's not one of those things where it was kind of out of everyone's control. It was this hurricane that came through, and nobody really wants to have to deal with this, but it just kind of is what it is. And I think the location of the ballpark that kind of happens. And I think the Rays are maybe used to it in a certain way. Like, I think 2 or 3 years ago, that hurricane that came through and got Port Charlotte, we couldn't train at the spring training facility, and we had to go to Orlando that year. So then that was a little bit different, but then we got to go to the Trop early. And I think because the Trop is the regular season location, that's going to be a little bit more frustrating. And I think logistically, like with families and moving and going to a bunch of different places, that's going to suck. But like I said, I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it. It is what it is. And that the weather decided what happened, and I don't know what they're going to do, but it would be kind of frustrating. But as long as they can play, I mean, hopefully they'll figure that out. Like you said, maybe they can go to Tampa. There's a couple places there, so hopefully they can keep it local, and then once the stadium's ready, they can just move back there. And I guess too, if it is the same location, the hardest part is moving into where you're living. So if you could find somewhere local, move in like a normal season, and then all you'd have to do is transport your baseball stuff, that wouldn't be too bad, I guess. I'm not there anymore, so, but I don't know.
My last question for you, going back to the Dodgers, Yankees, and the World Series here. You know all the guys in your squad. What is it going to take for the Dodgers to get over the hump and win this World Series in 2024? Give me a key factor that you're going to look in this game and say, you know what, this is what's going to get us to win the World Series over a really good Yankee team.
I think it's to carry the momentum and like what we've been doing this whole series. I think this is one of the best times for us, like how close-knit we are as a team. Kind of like I said, we went up and bust together in San Diego and have done a bunch of team dinners, and we've really been like catering forming our travel has been very like player. It's just been like all the players are alone, families come up in separate flights, and this is probably the most we've bonded all year long, and we're spending a ton of time together. And I feel like that's relatively atypical for like big league baseball. And I just think we've all bonded really well. I think, like I said, just take the motivation that we've had and take this momentum into the next series. And as long as we're hitting and it's kind of that next man up mentality. And
Hmm.
it's like a bunch of different people are contributing. And I think as long as we can continue to do that and just pitch like we've been pitching, hit like we've been hitting, I think it's definitely doable.
As real talk as you can, what did you think of the San Diego series? I mean, first off, you guys are down 2 games to a team that was playing really well. They had a lot of momentum. They had a lot of firepower in that bullpen. Like, that was a good team. We all know that.
Yeah.
You guys overcame them and won those last 2 games. So what did you think of the way that the team was able to do that? And also, how much are the storylines real? Because the Mets series was more good, clean fun. Obviously, actually, not many of the games were that close. But the Padres series had just tons of storylines, beef, the whole deal. So we're always curious. We're like, how much of that stuff's real? How much is getting played up a little bit? Even your manager, Dave Roberts, said, I played it up even a little bit more to get the guys going if it does anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a history with them for a while. I think there was like some chirping going back and forth. And I think during playoff baseball, everything's just a little bit more heightened, like emotions and everything is a little bit more redlined. So, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty real. I don't think it's anything like insane, but I think that's probably the team that we have the most rivalry with. And I think just given the history in the last 2 playoffs, leaving in the first round, I think for us it was even more like we were really determined to win. And we went down 2-1, and the feeling that I had in our clubhouse, no one really seemed too stressed about it. I think there was still like a pretty good sense of confidence, and I think that's kind of when I think me sitting back, I know I'm not playing, but me sitting back and looking at how we acted after we lost 2-1 and then came back that next day and responded, I was like, all right, I'm very confident we're going to take this series. And then going forward after winning that series, I think that's kind of propelled us to play as well as we've played.
All right, last one for me, going to the Yankees here. So you faced this team, quite a bit in the past, including some of these players. So how does a pitcher, and everyone's different, game plan for this particular lineup in its current state? Gleyber Torres is playing like a stud, right? He had an season. He'll be the first to say that. And then he totally flipped the page and went to a postseason where he's been on base like half the time. Judge is Judge. Soto's Soto, and he's been Soto. And then Giancarlo Stanton's a different monster right now in the postseason. So how do you navigate a lineup like that with your game planning? Like, some people be like, oh, you got to avoid this person. You got to pitch around this person. You can't do that to 4 out of the first 6 guys in the lineup.
Yeah, I think it depends on who you are. Certain pitchers will game plan around their strengths, and then if you see some sort of glaring hole, or like if one of those guys gets out consistently with one pitch in one quadrant, it's like you want to take that into account. But I think a lot of it is dependent on who you are as a pitcher. I think like for me personally, I would like I said, I try to find any sort of glaring weakness, and then like I guess for me, I think it's important for like what counts. If guys are aggressive, or if guys like generally take in a certain amount of counts, or like you can kind of see tendencies and patterns in like where you are count wise with a guy. And then I think for the most part too, you still want to have enough confidence as a pitcher to know that when you're on, your strengths can get anyone out no matter what. So it's a mix of everything. And there's a lot of guys on our team plan completely different. Like we don't really have a one size fits all philosophy for pitchers. And everyone does their thing a little differently, but we've pitched really well. I mean, like our bullpen has been incredible, and they do a really good job game planning, but I guess it's just different for everyone.
Yeah, no, well said. Especially what you're talking about with, different pitches, different quadrants, the whole deal, and try to ride that. We've seen that work, obviously, for anybody, no matter who it is. Could be the best player in baseball if you execute your pitches. So, Tyler, awesome to see you and catch up with you. Glad to hear the good news on the rehab front, and then good luck, man. I mean, good luck to your squad here. So we're excited to watch it. This is history that we're living. I know every year is big, but this feels a little different. Like, just to be real, it's not just the markets; it's the superstars too. So enjoy it, man.
Are you allowed in the dugout at all, or no?
Yeah, I've been in there. I've been we traveled with the team, and like we've just been doing of things as normal. So yeah, we've been chilling.
I didn't know if there was rules. Usually there's rules. Like if you're not on the roster, you can't be in the dugout. But I guess you're allowed to. That's good.
Yeah, this year has been. I think it's depends on the team, I guess. But for the most part, all the other teams too. I think the injured guys have been in the dugout and traveling and stuff.
I like
That's
that.
how it should be.
I
You
agree.
get more
Yeah.
in there, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad I can be there.
Yeah, rather than
He'd be
Wheeler
in the,
having
he'd
to
be in
pay
the
his way in.
clubhouse. He'd be in the
Remember that?
clubhouse watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks, Tyler. Awesome having you on. Appreciate the time, dude.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See ya.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.